People on Cedar Ridge Drive were used to quiet nights. It was a short street on the edge of town, bordered by a strip of woods and a shallow drainage creek. No streetlights past the first block. No foot traffic after dark. Everyone there worked early, slept early, and minded their own business. That was why the first light felt strange. It happened on a Tuesday night just before midnight. The Martinez family noticed it first. Across the street, in a small rental house that had been vacant for months, the living room lights suddenly turned on. At first, no one thought much of it. Maybe the house had finally been rented. Maybe a realtor was showing it late. The lights stayed on all night though, bright, steady. No movement behind the curtains. By morning it was still on. 2 days later, the house went dark again. No one mentioned it until the next Friday when it happened to another house. This one belonged to an older couple who had left town to visit their daughter. Everyone knew they were gone. Their driveway was empty, their mail piled up. At exactly 11:47 p.m., every light inside their house turned on at once. Kitchen, bedrooms, porch light, even the garage. The timing was what bothered people. Not midnight, not random, always 11:47. Neighbors stood in their windows watching, waiting for a car to pull up, for someone to move behind the glass. Nothing happened. The lights stayed on until sunrise. The next morning, a police officer stopped by. He knocked, no answer. He left a note and drove off. That house never turned its lights off again. Over the next 3 weeks it kept happening. One house at a time, always a different home, always one that was empty or temporarily vacant or supposed to be unoccupied. And always at 11:47 p.m., people started comparing notes. Someone made a group chat for the street. Another neighbor printed out a list of addresses and marked them off as the lights appeared. No house was skipped, no pattern except one. The houses never turned their lights off. Power bills stacked up. Extension cords appeared running from generators in backyards. One family moved out after their breaker box kept flipping despite being shut off completely. By the fourth house, people stopped standing at their windows. They started locking doors earlier. The seventh house was the one that changed everything. It was a single-story place at the end of the street, boarded up after a fire years earlier. Everyone thought the power line had been cut long ago. At 11:47, every window glowed. Neighbors called the fire department first, then the police. When responders arrived, they found the front door unlocked. Inside, the house was clean, not renovated, not repaired, clean, dustless floors, no burn marks, furniture placed carefully, like a staged showing. Every light fixture worked, wired into walls that should not have had electricity. And in the hallway facing the bedrooms were dozens of printed photographs taped neatly at eye level. Each one showed the inside of a house on Cedar Ridge Drive. Living rooms, kitchens, bedrooms. Photos taken at night. Some of them were dated years earlier. The photos stopped at the last empty house on the street, the one no one had checked yet. It was an abandoned property that backed directly into the woods. The windows had been broken out so long ago that rain and leaves covered the floors. No one remembered who owned it. At 11:47 the next night, the lights came on. Police were already waiting. They forced the door. The inside smelled damp and old. No furniture, no power box, no wiring in the walls. But the lights were on. Every room. In the back bedroom, officers found a sleeping bag laid out on the floor. A generator sat beside it, silent and empty. Pinned to the wall above it was a single printed map of Cedar Ridge Drive. Every house was marked. All but one were crossed out. The remaining house was the one across the street from the abandoned place. A family of 3 who had never gone on vacation, never left town, never missed a night at home. That family did not answer their door when police knocked. Inside, all the lights were on, and in the living room, every surface was covered in photographs taken from inside the house, photos of the parents asleep, photos of the child sitting at the table, photos taken from corners no one ever stood in. On the back of the final photo was a handwritten time, 11:47. The case went quiet after that. No suspect was ever named. No explanation was released. But the lights on Cedar Ridge Drive still turn on sometimes, not every night, not in order, and never in houses that are empty.